I first saw Jianhui in the 5th grade. I remember that day. My mom finally agreed to let me go to the convenience store next door to buy a bag of my favorite chips. With light steps, I excitedly ran toward the store. Unfortunately, my favorite flavor was sold out. I returned home dejected, tears shimmering in my eyes, feeling utterly wronged. But luckily, I saw Jianhui on the variety show my mom was watching. The chips were instantly forgotten, and I forced back my tears. I sat beside my mom, gazing at Jianhui on the TV screen with starry eyes. He was just too good-looking. Even though he was just a minor, barely noticeable presence in that show, when it came to him, even the background seemed gilded. His demeanor was cool. Yet his lips were red and his teeth white, with strikingly bright and vivid features. In a crowd, he was a dazzling ray of light. After the show, I secretly took my mum's phone and typed his name into the search bar. But he wasn't famous back then, and there was hardly any information about him, or maybe I just didn't know how to look properly. All I knew was that he was 2 years older than me and a trainee. So that night, I wrote down my wish on the first page of my diary. When I grow up, I want to marry Jianhui. Back then, I had no idea that this wish, just like most of my classmates' dreams of becoming scientists, was nothing but a pipe dream. But who cares? Maybe I'd be the lucky one. Time passed slowly, and before I knew it, I was about to start 6th grade. A new semester, a fresh start. I decided to share the wish I'd worked so hard to come up with my childhood friend leaning close to her ear, I whispered mysteriously. She looked unsurprised and asked which little boy in our neighborhood Jianhui was. Quietly, I pulled out a photo of Jianhui from my pocket and told Wenmi he was a celebrity. Wenmi put her arm around my shoulder and said, "Ning Wan, you sure have high aspirations." Yeah, I thought so too. Not only that, but I also started writing letters to Jianhui as a fan, even though I had no idea if he'd ever receive them. And every letter I sent seemed to disappear into the void. I began my seemingly endless journey of chasing after my future husband. What's more, I often dreamed about Jianhui. I dreamed I won the lottery and had enough money to support him. I also dreamed he came to my elementary school graduation ceremony, sat right next to me, and asked which of his songs I liked the most. And so on, and so on. After dreaming about him again and again, I dragged my mom to see a fortune teller, thinking I shouldn't be too direct at first. I asked the master, "Will I become rich?" The master mysteriously replied, "A noble person will appear in your life." I then asked, "What about my love life?" The master shook his head and said, "What is meant to be will come. What isn't meant to be should not be forced." Conclusion. The noble person is Jianhui. Jianhui will become famous and rich. If I marry Jianhui, I'll be rich too. It's a perfect cycle. Some might ask, is it meant to be or not? Well, that doesn't matter. Whether it is or isn't, I'll force it to happen anyway. Another year passed, and I started 7th grade while Jianhui was in 9th grade. He was gradually making small waves, though he was still relatively unknown at heart. Honestly, I felt a little happy about it, as if Jianhui were my own hidden treasure. That day, I openly picked up my mom's phone and searched for Jianhui's name. By the way, do you think my mom might be the matchmaker between Jianhui and me? A news headline suddenly appeared on the screen. Some online trolls were saying Jianhui couldn't sing, that his voice was plain and lacked technique. I kept scrolling and found more than one such comment. I was so furious that I huffed and puffed and ate 3 bowls of rice in protest. After filling my stomach well, after finishing my meal, I started writing another letter to Jianhui, telling him I was in 7th grade now and luckily in the same class as my childhood friend, even sharing a desk with her. I also said I wanted to share my luck with him, and told him not to be sad. "Our Aegean sings better than anyone in the world," I wrote. I comforted him, saying that if trolls were willing to write bad things about him, it meant he was gaining some fame. Then, I went on and on about my recent life, including but not limited to. It rained today. I caught a lot of snails and put them in a plastic water bottle, but their excretory abilities were so strong, they pooped so much even though they hadn't eaten anything. Yes, I told Jianhui everything. I didn't treat him like an outsider. On average, I sent him 3 or 4 letters a month, summarizing my weekly life. Over time, I often forgot I was writing to him, It became more like a mood diary where I poured out everything. Of course, I couldn't mention things like wanting to marry him or the fortune teller as prediction about supporting him. That's a whole different story. No, it's a surprise I'm saving for Jianhui. My mom said girls should be reserved. I was in 9th grade now, and Jianhui was in 11th grade. He had grown into a handsome and refined young man. My fondness for Jianhui had also grown with each passing day. Even when Mi started looking at me with newfound respect. She originally thought it was just a fleeting crush that would fade in a few days. But it had been 3 years. Jianhui was actually a very hard-working person. Every time I watched him perform on stage, I could see how much he had improved. His dancing became more fluid and natural, with just the right intensity, perfectly on beat, flawless expressions and full of atmosphere. On stage, he was like an enchanting spirit, captivating hearts. I knew this was the result of countless days and nights of practice off stage. So I had to work twice as hard too. I still wrote to him as usual, though less frequently once a month now. I reminded him to take care of his health, to eat well but not too much, because he needed to look good on camera and couldn't afford to gain weight. I told him to be confident, that his singing was really, really amazing, except in dance videos. Post more singing videos on Weibo, I wrote, though both would be even better. I also stood up for him, reminding him to beware of obsessive fans and stay safe. I even put in a word for myself, telling him not to forget his old fans just because he had new ones. But honestly, that was pointless. Because Jianhui was incredibly good to his fans. He carefully prepared gifts for them and wrote words of encouragement. He'd say, "Good morning," "Good afternoon," and "Good night" to his fans. Really, it's no wonder Jianhui was getting more and more popular. Jianhui was born for the stage. He was meant to be in the spotlight. But I also knew his dreams didn't end there. He wanted to use the stage as a starting point and move toward the big screen. He wanted to become an actor, an outstanding one. Next year, he'd be in 12th grade, and he'd said more than once that he wanted to get into the Capital Film Academy. It was his all-or-nothing goal. And mine too. I looked it up carefully. The university closest to the school Jianhui wanted to attend was the top-ranked university in the country. I believed Jianhui could get into the film academy. He was clear-headed, knew what he wanted, and had been growing up well all along. But I didn't believe in myself. I was just an average student. Still, I had to give it my all. For my future man. And even more, for my own bright and glorious future. Jianhui went viral. Because of a stage performance he designed, choreographed, and performed by himself, it became known across the entire country. Whether someone becomes popular really feels like a mystery. Jianhui finished the college entrance exam. Jianhui started filming a movie. Jianhui got into the film academy. And my first year of high school came to an end. Jianhui never let us down, even when facing immense pressure. But since starting high school, I felt like a different person. I decided to give myself 3 years, betting that I could make it to the place closest to him. I studied day and night, frantically. When I felt like I couldn't go on anymore, when I was on the verge of breaking down, I wrote letters to him, even though I knew there was a high chance he'd never receive them. But people always need a little hope, an outlet to vent. Though, to be honest, celebrities rarely stay on campus and attend classes regularly. I knew that, but I still had to try. It was exhausting. When Mi said, "I'm here with you. Keep going." Several times I hugged her and sobbed uncontrollably. I even started doubting that vague, elusive dream of mine. I had grown up. I was no longer that naive, self-deceiving child. Every time I saw the dazzling Jianhui on screen, I felt like there was an entire universe between us. The first sentence in my diary, the dream from my childhood, felt like a joke, mocking my overestimation of myself. I was just an ordinary person among millions. I wasn't particularly smart, not particularly pretty, and I didn't have much money either. What did I have to get close to Jianhui, to like him? I didn't know. I drifted through my days, studying every day, and gradually I stopped writing to him. I didn't know what to say anymore. I also started feeling how laughable those letters I'd written to him before were. One day in my 2nd year of high school, Wenmi sent me a video clip. A few words Jianhui said during his 18th birthday livestream. Jianhui read several letters from fans. Of course, none of them were mine. It had been nearly a year since I last wrote to him, and I hadn't kept up with his updates for a long time. I didn't dare. I was scared. I heard him say, "There's one fan who started writing to me very early on, but I haven't received a letter from them in a long time. I don't know if they've stopped being a fan or if something happened." He added, "No matter what, I'm grateful to this fan for liking me for so long. I hope that no matter what happens, this fan will live a positive and happy life in the future. Strive hard for your goals. Keep going." Before he even finished speaking, I was already in tears. My vision blurred, tears dripping onto the test paper, smudging the red crosses. What he said was exactly what I'd written to him in my letters. GNY was encouraging me. His smile was still so warm. He truly was worth everything in this world. But I still didn't dare continue writing to him. Because I'd been doing so poorly lately, I didn't want him to know. I was no longer the carefree, fearless Ning Wan from before. I studied every day, but my grades still didn't improve much. When Mi often dragged me to the school track to walk with her. My teachers often called me to the office to talk me through things. My mom often made delicious food to comfort me. They all told me not to put too much pressure on myself. I tried not to put too much pressure on myself too. I don't know if the self-suggestion worked or not. But eventually, the college entrance exam ended. I cried my heart out and wrote a very, very long letter to GNY, as if waking up from a long, long dream. A thick stack of letter paper thus embarked on its journey. And most likely, it would never find its way to him. GNY's schedule was packed every day, and his fanbase kept growing. His staff definitely wouldn't give him all those fan letters. They probably just gathered dust somewhere. But I was satisfied. I'd long stopped holding on to hope. Even though I still liked him so much. I spent 2 whole weeks catching up on everything I'd missed about him over the past 3 years. Even though I knew the gap between us could never be bridged. I watched all the movies, TV shows, variety programs, stages big and small, and interviews he'd done in those 3 years. He was now a genuine top star in the entertainment industry. The movie he filmed after the college entrance exam, though he only had about 20 minutes of screen time, was widely praised and opened the door to his acting career. But he remained clear-headed, neither arrogant nor restless, knowing he still had a lot to learn. His stage presence was still dazzling. When he danced, he was like an enchanting fairy moving through the night. Yes, he had evolved. Guess whether I got into my dream university in the end? Of course not. The top university in the country. How could someone like me easily set foot there? But I did get into one of the top universities in the country, just 2 subway stops away from GNY's school. I checked it all out. Some might wonder why I didn't apply to the film academy, a music conservatory, study dance, or take the arts track after all. Those paths would have brought me closer to GNY. But honestly, you have to face reality. Even though the entertainment industry's threshold might seem low, there's still a height to it. First, I don't have a stunning face or a perfect figure. At most, I'd say I'm cute and well-proportioned. It is not like I haven to try to become prettier. I've tried everything short of plastic surgery, but the results weren't significant. So I thought, if I don't have a beautiful appearance, maybe I can rely on an interesting soul or exceptional talent. But no matter how deep I dug, all I found was a dry well. Plus, I don't have money or influence. At most, I come from an ordinary family. Considering everything I've analyzed, even thinking with my toes tells me no agency would ever be interested in me. And even if they were, it would feel like dirty money. Not worth it, not worth it. It's not that I never considered the arts track, but I often thought, I like GNY, and I see him as a light in my life. But I can't let that extinguish my own light. I don't want to, and I shouldn't, throw myself into the fire like a moth. Liking someone, liking a celebrity, means you can become a better version of yourself because of them. Not losing yourself in the process. Blindly following their footsteps. Besides, if there's someone in the family shining brightly on screen, that's enough. I can't steal his spotlight. But saying that, I was still a bit hesitant. My rational side told me I shouldn't go down that path, but years of emotions kept swaying me. When choosing my major, I thought for a long time. Should I pick a major that would bring me closer to GNY? Or should I choose Chinese language and literature, which I truly love? You might not guess it, But my other dream is to become a writer. Besides liking Jianhui, most of the time I prefer staying in my room reading books. After much thought, I decided the Chinese department suited me best. Before getting closer to Jianhui, I wanted to become an outstanding person in my own right. I wanted to try my best to narrow the gap between Jianhui and me, even though it felt like an insurmountable chasm. Honestly, I knew very well back then that no matter how hard I tried, I'd never get into the top university in the country. I just used that goal to numb and motivate myself. Besides, even if I couldn't make it, my childhood friend was reliable. When me, who'd been humming and studying beside me since we were kids, got into the Capital Conservatory of Music as she'd hoped, she told me she wanted to become a music producer. Maybe someday, she'd even get to write a song for Jianhui. That's the dream I secretly set for Wen-mi, without her knowing. You might think that after all these years, influenced by me, Wen-mi would have started appreciating Jianhui's talent and looks too. Not at all. Wen-mi, that stubborn girl, only has music in her head. Jianhui had recently started preparing for his first concert. For this, I quietly took on multiple part-time jobs and saved up for a long time. I wanted to buy a VIP ticket. Heaven knows how much I wanted to see him up close, hear him sing, watch him dance and scream for him. On the day online ticket sales started, I dragged Wen-mi along and got my parents to help me snag tickets. I refused to believe I couldn't spend this money. And I did spend it. I was so excited I couldn't sleep for days. Is this what it feels like to spend money on someone you love? I tossed and turned in bed, images of Jianhui flooding my mind. For so many years, I'd followed Jianhui through the internet. Even though he felt out of reach, it gave me a strange sense of comfort. But now I was going to see him. Even if he wouldn't notice me, wouldn't know I existed, I still felt scared. I had grown up. I was no longer the outspoken, fearless Ning Wan. I didn't dare confidently tell myself I'd marry him anymore. And seeing Jianhui, watching him shine on stage, would undoubtedly be the best way to face reality. I should know that I am just one insignificant fan among millions of Jianhui's followers. At most, I'm just a die-hard fan who's liked him for 8 years. No more dreaming. Jianhui's concert was in another city, so I bought my plane ticket in advance, planning to spend a few days sightseeing there first. Using the small earnings from writing articles since middle and high school, plus a bit of support from my parents, I set off alone on my solo post-graduation trip. To save money, I booked a midnight flight. Looking out at the pitch-black sky through the window, I felt an unprecedented sense of calm. It was already 1 a.m. when I arrived at the airport. The terminal was empty, scattered with only busy, tired people in the corners. They walked with hurried or leisurely steps, heads bowed. Meanwhile, I looked around, searching for a restroom. I'd been holding it in for a while. After spotting it, I hurried toward it, pulling my luggage behind me, but unexpectedly bumped into someone. I quickly apologized, trying to step around them. The restroom was right there. Sorry. That wasn't my voice, it was theirs. A cool, slightly tired voice. I froze, literally rooted to the spot in front of them for several seconds. This was Jianhui's voice. I could never mistake it. My gaze traveled up from his shoes, black casual pants, a simple white t-shirt, a mask, and a black cap, and those long, narrow, deep eyes like obsidian. He wasn't wearing sunglasses, probably thinking it was too late to run into anyone. I was lost in his gaze, unable to snap out of it for a long time. I actually ran into Jianhui in the flesh. I instinctively reached out to touch him but stopped myself. His eyes smiled, their deep pupils reflecting my flustered expression. We were so close. Afraid he'd hear my pounding heart, I held my breath. You! I wanted to say something, but my throat was dry, my mind blank. He glanced around, seemingly checking that no one had noticed us, then pulled down his mask. Hello, are you a fan? Would you like an autograph or a photo? His features were clear and bright, his smile as dazzling as stars. The airport lights cast a pale glow on his skin, and up close, I could see faint dark circles under his eyes. Was he tired, not getting enough rest? I shook my head hard, finally convincing myself this wasn't a dream. Oh no, it's the middle of the night. I didn't wash my hair today. My skin looks terrible and I'm dressed so casually. How did I run into him like this? I felt my eyes grow moist and instinctively covered my face, nodding. Is it really Jianhui? I've liked you for years. Is it really you? Was it really him? And why was he alone without assistance or anything? It's so late a boy alone isn't safe. Especially one as good-looking as him, and especially running into me. Though I've always had the desire, but not the guts. Wow, my husband is so handsome. A visual attack. Up close, he's even more breathtaking. My mind buzzed, thoughts racing. He stood casually in front of me, not a hint of impatience on his face. Heaven knows how much effort it took to stop myself from screaming. With trembling hands, I offered him my phone. Can I take a photo with you? He naturally took the phone, tapped the screen to wake it, then handed it back to me. Password. I blurted out, your birthday. He seemed slightly surprised, a faint blush appearing on his face. Oh, no, my lock screen and home screen are both photos of him. I cautiously leaned closer, catching a faint, elusive fragrance. Fruity, maybe. Help, he's too adorable. He took a small step forward, positioning me slightly behind him. So considerate, he knows how to make my face look smaller. When you're this good-looking, any photo turns out great. He politely handed my phone back and was about to leave. I quickly grabbed his sleeve, then immediately let go reflexively. His low voice was utterly mesmerizing. Wait a moment. I quickly swung my bag to the front and pulled out the letter I hadn't mailed yet, the one I wrote the night I got his concert tickets. I handed him the letter with both hands. I wrote this for you a few days ago, but never got around to mailing it. Can I give it to you now? He took it immediately, using both hands. Jianhui is really so nice. Thank you for liking me. I'll read the letter carefully. Oh, and about meeting me today. I hope you can keep it confidential. This was an unplanned trip. Not many people know. I nodded repeatedly, promising again and again that I'd keep it secret. Yes, I'll definitely keep it secret. I hope your concert goes smoothly, and please get some rest. Don't overwork yourself. He nodded. Yes, and I hope you enjoy the concert. Goodbye. Goodbye. I waved at him, watching his back disappear. He was like a bright, blazing light, gradually fading from my sight. I stood there for a long time, nearly forgetting I'd come here to use the restroom. Suddenly, I felt like I could do it again. Dreams are worth having. What if they come true? What if Jianhui somehow saw something in me? Either way, I don't lose. Jianhui's concert was held in a stadium that could hold tens of thousands. On the day of the show, it was packed. I'd only seen scenes like that on the news during National Day. You've probably seen it too, that kind of crowded scene. Nothing but heads as far as the eye could see. I followed the crowd to find my seat, surrounded by sisters who shared the same passion. They eagerly expressed their love for Jianhui and their excitement for the concert, and all the preparations they'd made for it. I felt like I was bathing in a river of love for Jianhui, the intensity nearly drowning me. I came alone, and I've always been a solo fan. I don't have a strong urge to express myself except to the people I love. But seeing so many others who loved Jianhui like I did made me both happy and bittersweet. Happy because my treasure was loved and recognized by so many. Bittersweet because I also wanted to hide him away, just for myself. And with so many people, the competition is fierce. Especially seeing tall, beautiful girls with amazing style. They were so pretty I couldn't help but glance back a few times. Then I looked at myself. Even though I'd pulled out my best clothes and accessories, I still looked so ordinary. Jianhui on stage was completely different from the Jianhui I met at the airport. At the airport, he felt like an approachable, handsome guy next door. On stage, he was an ethereal, celestial being, something to admire from afar but not touch. How could anyone be so perfect? He sang and danced on stage. I cried and laughed in the audience. By the end of the concert, my voice was hoarse from screaming. At the end of the performance, he sat on the floor, legs dangling, seeming to turn back into that big brother again. My seat was actually quite close to him, but I unconsciously shrank back into the crowd, peeking at him with just my eyes. Even though the lights in the audience were so dim he couldn't see anything. The spotlight shone on him, making him glow. He smiled gently, bright and radiant. Thank you all for coming to my concert today. Thank you for liking me. As soon as his voice sounded, the screams that had filled my ears vanished. The entire venue had never been this quiet before. I We were all listening intently to him. How lucky I am to be loved by you all like this. His voice felt like a whisper in my ear, low and captivating. I debuted very early. Along the way, even with stumbles, fortunately, everything turned out well. And because of your encouragement and companionship, I've been able to persist until now. He seemed to sweep his gaze across the audience. Maybe it was my imagination, but I felt our eyes met across the distance. He smiled slightly. I burst into tears. If my existence has ever brought joy or inspiration to your world, I would be deeply grateful. He stood up, the spotlight following his steps like a prince from heaven. He bowed to the audience. In the future, let's walk this path together. As soon as he finished speaking, thunderous applause filled the venue. I covered my mouth, trying with all my might not to break down sobbing. Jianhui, you have to believe. No matter how far the future is, I'll always be here. After the concert ended, I followed the crowd out, feeling lost and disheartened. This wasn't what I expected. I thought I'd be overjoyed. When the announcement called my name, it took me a long time to react. I stood there like a fool, cut off from the world, trapped in my own little space. I checked several times. Yes, it was my name. The name, seat number, everything matched. They said I'd lost an important, valuable item and asked me to wait at the exit. I jolted, frantically checking my bag. Please don't let it be my ID card. But I hadn't lost anything. Was this a scam? Had I done something wrong? Anxiously waiting at the exit, I wondered if I should call my mom first, so she'd be ready to bail me out if needed. Then I looked up and saw a woman standing in front of me, smiling politely. I heard her ask, "Are you Miss Ning?" I nodded dumbly. She pointed in a direction. "Please follow me." Suspicious, I followed her, hand in my pocket gripping my pepper spray, thinking I could still save myself if something went wrong. The farther we walked, the fewer people there were. My heart pounded wildly. "Don't be nervous. I'm GNY's staff. He asked me to find you. Saying you lost something was just an excuse. Don't worry, I'm not a bad person." Hearing that, I froze in place, unable to resist slapping my own face and knocking on my head. Am I dreaming? Was this whole concert a dream, too? Or did I do something to wrong GNY, and he's seeking revenge? I didn't tell anyone about meeting him at the airport. The woman's gentle voice brought me back. "Miss Ning? Are you all right? What, this really isn't a dream?" I shook my head instinctively. Nothing. Please lead the way." I followed slowly behind her, head lowered. I couldn't help pulling out my phone, opening the camera to check my face. I wanted to cry, my eyes were swollen from crying, leaving just slits. Still lost in my sadness, the person in front suddenly stopped. I almost bumped into her. In front of us was a dressing room. Could it be GNY was inside? Really? Am I dreaming? Well, of course I was dreaming. Dreaming of seeing GNY again. The pretty older sister's voice echoed in my ear again. "These are some official merchandise items GNY prepared for you. He said you can take a look and pick any you like." Merchandise? GNY had someone bring me here just to give me merchandise. Do I look poor? Wait, how does he know I rarely spend money on him? Like, I don't even buy much merch. Suddenly I felt a bit guilty. Also, here's a letter he wrote for you. A blue envelope appeared before my eyes. My name was neatly written on the front, with Jianhui's elegant signature in the corner. So handsome. I pinched my wrist, trying to steady my slightly trembling hands. This is so embarrassing. But whatever at a time like this, who cares about embarrassment? My husband is giving me gifts and writing me letters. He wanted to give it to you personally, but his schedule is too packed. Right after the concert, he had to leave for the airport. Feeling tears welling up, I wiped my eyes. Thank you, sis. You've worked hard. No problem, it's my job. Take a look and see what you like. The staff will help you carry it to a taxi later. For now, you can rest here. It's crowded outside, so it might be hard to get a taxi right away. I nodded obediently, walked into the dressing room, and found a quiet corner to sit in. The room wasn't big, simply decorated, with a faint fragrance lingering in the air. GNY was just here, wasn't he? Why does it feel like his scent is still lingering in the air? I must be going crazy. Jianhui said earlier. How lucky I am to be loved by you all like this. But that's not it. Meeting Jianhui is the greatest luck of my life. Without Jianhui, Ning Wan wouldn't be the Ning Wan I am today. People online often say that young people these days are no good. They don't appreciate the revolutionary heroes and martyrs who fought bravely for our country. They don't admire the scientists who contributed to the nation's prosperity. Instead, they chase after pretty little celebrities on TV all day, so unambitious and lazy. But that's not true. Every era has its own heroes. And in each of our hearts there are irreplaceable heroes of our own. No matter their identity or how they exist. Idols aren't ranked by status or worth. As long as they can bring us even a sliver of inspiration, help us pull ourselves together when we're lost or disappointed, or make us want to become better versions of ourselves, then they have meaning in their existence. Besides, many people don't even have such a guiding light in their hearts. Our society has given the term idol a social meaning. It seems that besides people in the entertainment industry, we don't think of anyone else when we hear idol. But even though the entertainment industry is a mixed bag, you can't generalize. Every industry has areas that need improvement and regulation. We can criticize it, but we shouldn't paint everyone with the same brush. Times are changing, and the country's actions have given us the best answer. It wasn't until I returned to my hotel that I dared to open Jianhui's letter. It was already 2 a.m. The envelope still carried a faint fruity scent, the same perfume Jianhui was wearing that day. I patted my wildly beating heart and tremblingly opened the envelope. Inside was just a single white sheet of paper folded in half. I slowly unfolded it. Unlike the neat writing on the envelope, Jianhui's handwriting was a bit more casual. But it still looked comfortable, more genuine. Hello, thank you for liking me. I'm sure you've heard words like this so many times your ears are calloused. But every time I say it, I mean it sincerely. I've always cherished having you all in my life. You've written to me for 7 years. Every single letter I've read carefully. You were the first fan to ever write to me. I still remember that night. I was sitting on the practice room floor, covered in sweat, when staff told me I had a letter. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, how could I believe it? Who would write a letter to a nobody like me? Your tone in the letter was so cheerful, describing your life, your friends. All of it felt so far from my world, but in your writing it felt so close. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. In that moment it felt like my world brightened up too. Along the way I've thought about giving up more than once, but thinking about how there are still people supporting and liking me, I feel like I have to keep going no matter what. I believe you must have dreams too, so you have to keep persisting. Finally, really thank you for liking me. Let's work hard together. The letter wasn't long, but it was more than enough. I read it word by word, over and over again, carefully, afraid my tears would wet the paper. How many times have I cried tonight? So all my letters never vanished into the void. Jianhui saw them. He really saw every one. So all along, it's been a mutual effort between fans and Jianhui. We like Jianhui, striving to become better versions of ourselves. And Jianhui draws courage and strength from us to keep going. When you think about it, isn't it all because of liking someone? Because fans like their idol. And because the idol cares about their fans. So Jianhui, don't worry, I'll always like you. And I'll stick to my dream. Oh. You still don't know what my dream is, do you? It's to marry you. Before I knew it, summer vacation ended. When me and I packed our bags and headed to an unfamiliar city, the city of my dreams. Even though Jianhui isn't here right now. Not long after the concert, Jianhui entered a film set. All he left behind was a Weibo post. See you in 3 months. The official post didn't specify which production he joined, probably another highly confidential blockbuster. What else could I say? Just look forward to it. I thought we wouldn't hear from Jianhui for 3 months. But out of nowhere, something big exploded about him. Jianhui's shocking family background exposed and I saw it on my social media feed. Everyone was gossiping about it. At the time, when Mi was playing her newly composed music demo for me, she said once she finished it, she wanted to try posting it on her Bilibili account. Since high school, Wenmi often posted videos of herself singing, sometimes playing the piano. She had tens of thousands of followers. I just listened to her new demo several times and was still savoring it. As soon as I picked up my phone and scrolled through my feed, I exploded. How could anyone do something like this? I frantically opened Weibo, my hands trembling uncontrollably. I wasn't afraid of seeing news about Jianhuai's downfall. I firmly believe Jianhui isn't that kind of person. I was just scared. Scared that this kind of public opinion would hurt him. I don't want that. My teenager. I want him to be happy forever. I skimmed through the text and images, the so-called solid evidence. It said Jianhuai's father was a gambler and a drunk who injured someone in a drunken brawl and was sentenced to prison. His mother later married an American and became a US citizen. It also claimed Jianhui grew up with his grandparents, joined an agency very early, and never visited them again. Called him ungrateful, heartless. Some trolls even stirred up rumors, saying his mother is American, so he isn't Chinese. There were more details below, but I didn't want to read any further. I didn't even want to open the comments section. On a hot summer night, I felt chilled to the bone. Why? What does any of this have to do with Jianhui? Should Jianhui pay for his father's mistakes? Are you so free that you follow Jianhui around to see if he visits home? Can't you see how patriotic Jianhui is? The charity work he's done probably exceeds the money you've ever earned. Can't you see how hard he works? I wiped the tears from my face, my heart feeling as if someone was squeezing it tightly, making it hard to breathe. I'm so angry. I'm so heartbroken. The person I cherish most in my heart. Why does he have to be treated like this? Just because he's a public figure? Does everything about him have to be exposed? I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. I couldn't help but open Weibo and scroll through the comments. Some were rational, but there was no shortage of hateful ones. Jianhui, get out of the entertainment industry, was the top comment. Some even brought up the stage performance that made Jianhui famous. It was a self-choreographed dance video about pets, inspired by the movie Hachi, A Dog's Tale. I still clearly remember how many people in the comments shared their own stories with pets. The years of companionship, the heart-wrenching goodbyes, they all praised Jianhui. Said his dance perfectly captured the story. Made everyone find resonance. That's how Jianhui gained popularity. Many netizens dug up his past videos. His efforts and perseverance, his brilliance were finally seen. But now, that video was being used against him. Many netizens accused him of caring more about pets than his own family. Said he ignored his grandparents all these years, no different from his imprisoned father. Many replies agreed, some even using harsher words. I scrolled down for a while before finding more rational comments. What does his parents' situation have to do with Jianhui? He didn't grow up with them. Who cares if he goes home or not? Following him around is an invasion of privacy. But these were just a drop in the ocean. Jianhui's agency released a statement soon after the incident, but it was just full of empty words. Jianhui's fans didn't go around picking fights. They only left comments under his past Weibo posts. Scrolling through his Weibo comments felt like finding a safe harbor. All of them were supportive, comforting, and telling him to focus on filming and not worry about the hateful comments, which fans kept pushing down. So that when Jianhui opened the comments section, he'd at least feel warmth. It's the least we could do for him. The situation kept escalating. I still couldn't sleep, so I decided to write something and send him a private message on Weibo. Who cares if he checks his private messages? People only believe what they want to believe and hold onto it firmly, regardless of the truth. I've always believed in you. You know that. And so do many, many of your fans. As for those who don't like you, no matter what you do or don't do, they still won't like you. They might even stomp on you, no matter what's right or wrong. As for most bystanders, they're probably just here for the gossip. Maybe they'll chime in too. The internet, everyone can say something. Life is stressful enough. Venting online seems normal. Maybe they think celebrities live in the public eye. They've been talked about before. A few more words won't hurt. Really, if it doesn't happen to them, anyone can calmly say, "It's fine," or "It's nothing." Try cursing at them and see how they feel. Besides, some people don't criticize others for the so-called justice. They just enjoy the thrill of standing on moral high ground and pointing fingers. Anyway, don't take it to heart. Don't dwell on those unpleasant things from the past. Stay happy. Post something on Weibo once you redone filming. It's been a while since your last selfie. Say something. Just to piss off those trolls. My head was throbbing. I rambled on, saying everything I needed to say. Really, I'm so angry. By the time dawn broke, I finally finished and collapsed onto the table, drifting into a hazy sleep. When I woke up, it was only 8 a.m. Sleeping, slumped over a desk, is never restful. Ooh, I drooled so much my arm is all wet. Gross. Instinctively, I picked up my phone and opened Weibo. Everything was just as it was before I fell asleep. Then I remembered the long message I sent Jianhui before sleeping, and hurriedly pulled it up to read again. It hit me like a thunderbolt. What on earth did I write? The normal parts were normal, and the abnormal parts were really abnormal. Why do I blurt out everything when I get carried away? If you're comforting someone, just comfort them. If you're venting, just vent. Why did I have to spill all that old, irrelevant stuff? Even things like going to a fortune teller, or wanting to marry him. And the things about the college entrance exam period. Secretly applying to a university near his. If you tell him, can you still call it secret? And saying, I'm not good enough for him. Well, at least you know you're not good enough. What kind of messy, rambling confession letter is this? Things like, my feelings for you aren't just a fan's admiration. It is the kind of liking where I want to be your wife. The kind where I want to sleep with you. Is this even appropriate to say? Girls should be reserved. I could almost cry. I wish I could dig a hole and hide in it. Jianhui's perspective, my parents divorced not long after I was born. They weren't really a proper couple to begin with. Introduced by friends, they hooked up after a few meetings. They never planned to marry. I was just an accident. I guess I should be grateful they at least got married and muddled through together for a while, giving me a legitimate household registration. Oh, and I should also be grateful they both had good looks. Anyway, I was dumped on my grandparents as soon as I was born. Neither of them wanted me. Just as well. I don't think I'd have turned out to be an upright, well-adjusted young man if I'd stayed with them. My father. No need to elaborate. As for my mother, there were all sorts of rumors, hard to tell what was true. Nothing glorious, that's for sure. My grandparents never talked to me about these things. But even if they didn't, there were always gossipy villagers. I heard plenty growing up. I heard, but tried not to take it to heart. Still, it hurt a little. In their eyes, I seemed like an unlucky child who never should have been born. They had no idea how well my grandparents treated me. Even though life was hard, they found ways to dote on me. But we were really poor. When Grandma fell ill, and no doctor in the village or town could help, the village head took us to the city for treatment. That's how I ended up with the agency. At first, I thought they were scammers and wanted to find a police officer. But the city was too big, I got lost. It wasn't until they brought Grandma's medical fees to the hospital that I finally believed them. They said they'd cover all of Grandma's treatment, on the condition that I go with them. I just knew there was money to be made. Grandma would be okay, and I could still go home. Even if going home wouldn't happen often. The village head kept saying this was a golden opportunity I should grab quickly. And my grandparents, however reluctant, had to agree. As I grew up, expenses would only increase. My grandparents were getting old. I couldn't let them suffer for me anymore. I promised them I'd visit as often as I could. And I only had one condition with the agency. No matter what, my grandparents must never be exposed to the public eye. At first, I wasn't happy. Even though the food was much better than in the village, the living conditions were better. And there were many kids around my age. I'd never had friends growing up. I was too scared to get close to them. Even though I knew they knew nothing about me. I missed my grandparents, missed our little earthen house. But honestly, I didn't have much time to miss them. Every day was packed with training, and we had special tutors for our schoolwork. That's when I learned I was here to learn singing and dancing. Somehow, I felt this was the most important opportunity of my life. Sink or swim. So I took classes seriously and studied hard. At first, I was really uncoordinated. Stretching hurt like hell, and my singing was just average. I often wondered if the agency's selection criteria were just based on looks. Several times I hid in the bathroom and cried. I'd never lived like this before. Just practicing day after day with no end in sight. But what could I do? I was already here, had to tough it out. I wiped my tears and went back to the practice room to keep dancing. If I couldn't change it, I had to strive to be the best. I didn't want to compare myself to others. Everyone is born different. I just wanted each new day to be a little better than the last. I felt despair, collapse, and hit a bottleneck. No one was there to comfort me. I only had myself. Time passed slowly, and I finally got a chance to appear on stage. I was just sitting on the side, probably speaking less than 10 sentences over several hours. I was 13 that year and had already adapted to life here. And I finally understood what I was here for. Not long after the first show I recorded aired, the staff told me I had a letter. I was shocked. Who would write to me? My grandparents couldn't write. And whenever I went home to visit them on breaks, they never mentioned letters. The envelope was quite thick. Skeptical, I opened it to find several sheets of pink stationery. It was actually from a fan. I couldn't believe it and pestered the staff to confirm several times. Honestly, looking at the wobbly handwriting and the rambling pages, it didn't seem like a prank. I was just too surprised. I couldn't believe someone would like someone like me. There were lots of typos in the letter, and the grammar wasn't great. But that didn't hide the straightforward support and affection shining through the words. And her colourful life. A world completely different from mine. It was interesting. Through the letter, I could almost picture the excited face of the girl writing to me. I read it over and over, even tucked it under my pillow to look at before bed every night. Even now, I can roughly remember what that letter said. She told me to remember her name. Honestly, even if she hadn't said it, I'd never forget. Right, Ning Wan. Later, I kept receiving letters from her. Everyone was filled with her liking and support for me. Plus updates about her life. Whenever I felt discouraged, like I couldn't keep going, I'd think of her. At least in this world, besides my grandparents, someone had expectations of me. I actually received many letters from other fans later, but I always looked forward to hers the most. After all, she was different. And through years of training, I gradually grew to love what I was doing. Honestly, at first, I often questioned what meaning there was in all this. Year after year, no end in sight. But then again, what does have meaning? The act of perseverance itself is the greatest meaning. I watched myself improve bit by bit. Sometimes, when reviewing my dance videos, I'd start to doubt whether the spirited youth in the video was really me. I guess that's what they call meaning. I want to be the best, to show everyone who likes me. I can't let down their affection, especially Ning Wan. For a long time after that, I didn't receive any letters from Ning Wan. It felt like life was missing a piece somehow. I figured something must have happened. Doing the math, she was probably preparing for the college entrance exam. The pressure must have been intense. So during a live stream, I specifically mentioned her. I didn't know if she'd watch, but I wanted to give her some encouragement too. Keep going, I'll keep going too. Around that time, I was filming my first movie. The director was strict, and I was working with many seasoned actors. This opportunity didn't come easily, I knew that well. If I didn't do well this time, the road ahead would only get harder. Being young and inexperienced could be an excuse. But the audience wouldn't give you chances. If you got an opportunity and didn't make the most of it, that was your own fault. You couldn't blame anyone. I listened carefully to everything the director said, and learned attentively from the senior's guidance. I did my best. For me, that was the best answer I could give. When did I start wanting to be an actor? At first, it was just so I could appear on TV more often, so my grandparents could see me more, because they still weren't great at using the internet. Later, as I learned more, I found it to be a fascinating field. Being part of it, you could become someone else. Experience their love, resentment, obsessions, and follies. I don't really like my own life that much. Fortunately, my first movie, though a small role, was well received. More and more scripts started coming my way. But honestly, to cater to the market, many scripts weren't that well written, some were even nonsensical. Oh well, better to have none than something subpar. I'd rather not film them. Besides, in terms of qualifications, I had no right to act. I hadn't even taken acting classes in college yet. In a way, that was also unfair. Unfair to those who diligently study acting. That night, I never expected to run into a fan at the airport. It was an unplanned private trip, and it was the middle of the night. Maybe it was just meant to be. She was a very cute girl. Her eyes sparkled when she looked at me, yet she seemed a bit shy. There was a teardrop mole at the corner of her eye. Quite distinctive. I've always cherished my fans and sincerely appreciated their affection. I politely took a photo with her, accepted her letter, and said goodbye. When I was about to leave the airport terminal, I inexplicably glanced back, but she was already gone. I read the letter in the car, familiar handwriting, still the same cheerful content. She said she was coming to my concert. Yeah, we'd just met. My heart started thumping strangely. I'd imagined her face countless times in my mind. Today I finally saw it. And yet, it felt like she was exactly how she should be. Any other version would have been wrong. I couldn't help but look back at the airport, as if I could still see her figure there. Maybe I should write her a letter too. Writing all these years without a response. Did it ever make her sad? Did she ever, even for a moment, want to give up? I'm so glad you stuck with it. Because of that, there's the GNY of today. Shortly after the concert, I joined a film crew. It was a movie by a well-known domestic director, and everything was kept under strict confidentiality. I arrived at an endless, vast grassland, dotted here and there with sparse or dense forests. They interwove and overlapped, forming patchwork patterns. White flocks of sheep drifted among them, like snowy flowers on a green carpet. Rivers meandered and curved, like silk ribbons scattered across the land. It was truly beautiful. I thought, if only Ning Wan were here too. Strangely, her smiling crescent moon eyes flashed in my mind, full of vitality and energy. Sadly, such tranquility didn't last long. When my assistant hemmed and hawed, unwilling to let me see my phone, I knew something had happened. What else could it be? Those messy affairs of my family, just perfect material for the whole nation to feast on. After all, people just love gossip. Even I don't really know what's going on with my parents. Well, now they got what they asked for, proof delivered. Quite amusing, really. As I read, I inexplicably laughed out loud, startling my assistant. Honestly, I don't really care much about what's said online. I'm used to it. Haven't I grown up like this since childhood? Back then, people would just point and whisper not far away. But this? It's like a dimensional downgrade in comparison. Harmless, really. But still, I wonder, what do my fans think? What does Ning Wan think? I opened my Weibo and scrolled through old comments, feeling an inexplicable stir in my heart. Like a calm, undisturbed lake suddenly disturbed by a pebble, ripples spreading across the surface. I continued browsing through private messages. It wasn't as harmonious there. There were both insults and words of comfort. I skimmed through them absent-mindedly. And that's how I came across Ning Wan's private message. Don't ask how I knew it was hers. She introduced herself right at the beginning. Unconsciously, I straightened up and opened her message with a sort of sacred anticipation. It was the first time I'd seen her speak so seriously to comfort someone. Quite interesting. And what she said made sense. But she didn't stay serious for long before returning to her usual cheerful, lively tone. This time, though, it was as if she'd had one too many drinks. I sensed something was off. So, she really does like me. The kind of liking a girl has for a boy. Is this the answer I wanted? I don't know. Or maybe I do. I just can't help wondering if it's because of that layer of idol halo around me. That in her eyes I seem so perfect. And that's why she likes me so much. From the female lead's perspective. To be honest, it's hard to describe how I feel right now. I want GNY to see it. Yet I don't want him to. I've never considered myself a cowardly person. But when it comes to GNY, someone I've secretly admired for so long, I can't help but hesitate. If not for this twist of fate, my feelings for him might never have been spoken aloud in this lifetime. But now, what's done is done. Yet, seeing that I've already gained some presence in his life, I really don't want to be pushed away, kept at a distance. And I can't help but wonder, what if I'm just a little bit different to him? On the evening of the incident, Jianhui posted a Weibo update. Rumors stopped with the Ys. The comment section was harmonious, with even senior colleagues he'd worked with expressing their trust in him. Soon after, his agency issued a lawyer's letter, stating their determination to pursue legal action. The world never lacks for fresh gossip, especially in the entertainment industry. Days passed one after another. My routine was the same every day. Dorm, cafeteria, library, classroom. Almost 3 months had gone by. GNY's filming was probably wrapping up soon. That's good. As for that private message, no reply is the best reply, I suppose. It was a weekend. As usual, I stayed in the library until 9:30 p.m. There were only a few students scattered along the tree-lined path. Under the moonlight, the evening breeze brushed gently. The lake's surface shimmered with faint light, reflecting the delicate small pavilion. This was the most peaceful moment of my day. Suddenly, someone grabbed my wrist. Startled, I thought, what's going on? Instinctively, I raised my leg to kick. A familiar voice sounded beside my ear. It's me. My heart skipped a beat. It was GNY. He stepped in front of me, wearing a familiar black cap and mask. Only his clear, bright eyes visible. They reflected my stunned expression. You. He chuckled softly, his voice unexpectedly captivating, as if the pitch-black night acted as a catalyst. It's me. I stepped back in surprise. He reached out to steady my arm. Sorry, I scared you. He pulled his mask halfway down, revealing his tall nose bridge. I just left the set and thought of you being here, so I came to see you. My breath hitched. He said he came to see me. Why? I didn't dare meet his gaze, so I looked around instead. Hurry and put your mask back on. It won't be good if someone recognizes you. My cheeks kept burning. Last time at the concert, something came up so I didn't get to see you. A faint floral scent reached my nose. It really was GNY. GNY said he wants to be friends with me. Friends? Huh? My head spun. For a moment, I felt like I couldn't understand Chinese. Or do you want me to share my life with you too? His voice was clear and gentle. But my life is pretty boring. You know, standing in front of the camera every day. However, rustling, he pulled out his phone from his pocket, tapped a few times and handed it to me. I went to the Grassland recently. The scenery there is especially beautiful. I took lots of photos to show you. Images of dreamlike, breathtaking landscapes flashed before my eyes, scenes I'd never seen before. Beautiful, right? I thought you'd like them. His voice was full of delight. I stared intently into his star-bright eyes and nodded firmly. Extremely beautiful. I love them. He grinned, scratching his head. Glad you like them. Oh, and I brought you some local specialties. I remember you mentioned in your letters that you really like dairy products. So I bought a bunch of different kinds for you to try. See which ones you like. But I came in a hurry and didn't bring them with me. I'll give them to you tomorrow. How could I describe how I felt? It was like fireworks bursting across a festival sky. Yet I feared all of this might vanish in an instant, like a fleeting dream. My voice choked up. Why? Why are you being so nice to me? I once thought I'd end up like a moth drawn to flame. I never imagined there'd be a day like this. Even though he hasn't said anything explicitly, in my mind, it feels like I've lived a whole lifetime. He took a tissue from another pocket and placed it in my hand. Because you deserve it. During those days when my life felt stagnant, your persistence gave it meaning. It gave me the strength to keep going. For so long, it wasn't like I never thought about giving up. But every time I read your letters, I do think, how much harder do I need to work to be worthy of such passionate, pure affection? Images from my brief, harried 18 years flashed through my mind. The earnestness of lying on my bed writing letters to him. The silly smiles while looking at photos of him on my phone. The ache of sleepless nights when he was criticized. I know better than anyone how hard it is to persist in something with no reply and no visible result. When I was young, ignorance bred innocence. That's why I stubbornly kept doing the same thing. Thank you for holding on, Ning Wan. But how did you know? I never thought of giving up. Liking you is exhausting. Liking someone is exhausting. Caring about someone is even more exhausting. Maybe I should stop liking you. So this is what I should do. I should be better to you. But whenever I thought that, I'd remind myself. Jianhui isn't like other people. He's a celebrity. A public figure. I should be more understanding toward him. I cried while smiling. Smiled while crying, tears blurring my vision. A total mess. Jianhui is really too much. Stop crying. Take out your phone. I sniffled. Huh? Let's exchange WeChat. From now on, if you have anything to say, message me there. I'll reply when I see it. If I don't reply right away, I'm probably filming. Exchanging? WeChat? Me? Is that okay? GNY's WeChat must be pretty valuable, right? I obediently handed over my phone. He unlocked it smoothly. I almost forgot about that. After adding himself, he placed the phone back in my hand. Do you stay in the library this late every day? I put my phone away and nodded, then asked, How did you know I was here? He avoided my gaze, hesitating. I was wandering around your campus and happened to see you here. Wait, that's not what you said earlier. But you just said. Before I could finish, he covered my mouth. I didn't say anything earlier. It's late, you should head back. I need to go too. Message me when you reach your dorm. Sleep early. Good night. He said it all in one breath. Before I could even respond, he was gone, disappearing into the night. I stared in the direction he left for a long, long time. Was everything that just happened real? Did it really happen? Why does it feel so hard to believe? I couldn't resist giving my cheek a hard pinch. Ow. It really is real. It took a long time after he left for my brain to gradually start functioning normally again. I carefully savored every word he'd said. What a shame I should have recorded what he said. Otherwise, I'd probably forget something. Whenever I talk to him, I get nervous, my mind wanders, and my brain goes blank. Did he say earlier that he wanted to give up? GNY must have had a really hard time back then. But somehow, by chance, I managed to comfort him. That's good. Maybe that's the meaning behind my letters. Or perhaps, the meaning of liking someone. For me, GNY began with a breathtaking glimpse in my youth. Just like that, he illuminated my entire adolescence. All my passion and joy. All my bets placed. Solely for him. I am only one small, insignificant existence among millions. Liking GNY is perhaps the thing I've persisted with the longest in my life. I just never imagined there would truly come a day when I could stand side by side with GNY, listening to him share stories that belonged to him. And I never imagined that my existence could also be special to him. A lifetime is long. We still have a long road ahead. It may be rugged and bumpy, or smooth and steady. Mountains are high and waters distant, but passion can withstand all that is prolonged. The end.